just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your
Located 75 kilometers east of Toronto, the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has been billed as one of the world's greatest racetracks. And on the eve of the Great White North's birthday, there is no place quite like Canada's home for motorsport. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, race fans. It's a perfect summer afternoon in Bowmanville, Ontario, as we welcome you to Mosport for stop number 6 of the 2025 FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship, the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. Once again, welcome everybody to today's coverage of FMGTC Racing here on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright. We're back on the Grand Touring side of things after a nearly 2-month hiatus between races outside of the United States. But in contrast to the break, it's our shortest wait between races here this week, as in just 4 days we'll be back here for the Firecracker at the Glen on July 4th. But that is then, and this is now. Of course, the focal point for this afternoon is Canada's Day of Independence, celebrating its 158th birthday here tomorrow afternoon. And just like their American counterparts, motorsport is a way of life up here in the north, especially here in Bowmanville at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's a fun 2.5-mile track with a lot of character and a lot of chaos, and that is exactly what we're in the business for here in the FMGTC. Going back 2 months ago to Mexico City, Caleb Rose and Kasumi Takashi took home the wins for GTLM and GT Daytona. Taking a look at the point standings, after 5 races completed of the scheduled 12 this year, Mike Vincent Jr. still retains the GTLM lead here. He leads it by 40 over Zachary Fitzwater. Then he got Skylar Taylor, 45 points behind the number 78 machine. Same thing with Bradley Ream and Aguirre Sato. In fact, all 3 of those drivers who are rounding out the top 5 are tied for 3rd in the point standings. Then you go down to Caleb Rose, fresh off of his first ever win to Grand Touring car, down in 6th. 7th is Sebastian Palmer, Riley Sampson, Logan Williams, and Nathan Stapleton round out the top 10. Stapleton all the way back 115 points behind Mike Vincent Jr. He's got a lot on the ground to make up if he wants to get in this championship hunt. But Mike Vincent Jr. starting on the outside pole here along with Zachary Fitzwater. More on those two later on when we get into the starting lineup. But going into the GT Daytona side of things, it continues to be very, very close, with Dylan Matthews now taking the points lead. But she's got a 15-point lead over the number 31 machine of Brooke Paquette, your Denver winner. Then you got Aaron Abel, 25 back in the 26 car. Kasumi Takashi slingshots all the way up to 4th in the point standings, 45 points behind the 26. Colin Bear rounds out the top 5. Blake Beauville, Logan Alexander, Esteban Lasserre, Nathan Buchanan, and Bruno Diacomo round out the top 10. Diacomo 110 points behind the UPS Ford Mustang of Dylan Matthews. And even though Tim Hortons is the primary sponsor for today's race, we are in the middle of the Duncan Week of Speed over on the Mission Barbecue Cup Series side of things. After 2 fantastic races last night down in Massachusetts, both races at Hillside won by drivers competing in the FMGTC this afternoon. Esteban Lasserre and Riley Sampson winning both races yesterday at Hillside International Speedway. And in the running for the Duncan Week of Speed sweepstakes are a few drivers on the grid here today. Owen Miles, Michael Lewis, Carson Miller, and Ryan Durrani are 4 of the 8 drivers that'll be racing tomorrow at Papyrus. They were in the field today looking to get their first wins in Grand Touring cars. But it's a packed house here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we're ready to go racing here in Ontario. So let's head down trackside, get the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 GT motors come to life here at Mosport, and we're just moments away from dropping the green flag for 62 laps here in Bowmanville. The two drivers at the top of the GTLM point standing start on the front row. Zachary Fitzwater won the Twisted Tea Pole Award. The 7-time NESRN winner looks for his second win in a GT car. Mike Vincent Jr. looks for his third win of the season. He'll start in second. Back in row number 2, Riley Sampson won a wild second race at Hillside just 18 hours ago. Both he and Aguirre Sato look for their first wins at the Grand Touring level. Sato starting right there in car number 49. And Caleb Rose looks to make it 2 in a row, starting from 5th. Denver winner Justin Williams starts beside Rose to round out the top 6. Back in here for GT Daytona, they're led to green by longtime veteran Nathan Buchanan, who will start on the pole position with Carson Miller next to him in the 72 car. There's Carson Miller back there in car number 72. Kasumi Takashi looks to go back-to-back, starting in row number 2 with Alex Lozano. Next to her in the number 43, Lozano running right into the Hillside pit road attenuator yesterday evening, about 12 hours ago, 18 hours ago at this point I should say. Matt Lagasse will look to bring the Made in America Dodge Viper to Gatorade Victory Lane, much to the chagrin of the crowd here in Canada. The Ontarian of Daniel Bouchard will round out the top 6. A win today would be very popular for the Ottawa native. The field will roll through Moss Corner. Taking a look at the track itself, it's a 10-turn facility with drastic elevation changes, especially here on the Mario Andretti Straight. A lot of character here at Mosport. Like I said, a lot of elevation changes. You got Clayton Corner all downhill to Quebec Corner, the deepest part of the course. Then you got Moss Corner and all the way up to the Mario Andretti straightaway, which right about where Zachary Fitzwater's Corvette is right now is the highest point of the track. And of course you got the Essence, which will be the danger zone all afternoon long today. And then of course White's Corner, the most infamous turn here in Mosport, especially in terms of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Chase Elliott versus Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney versus Armand Quiroga, Noah Gragson versus Todd Gillen, of course, John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer all know turn 10 very, very well. 62-lap race, about 20 laps in between every pit cycle. The two previous winners both start in the 13th starting spot for their respective classes. Eric Monaco for GT Le Mans and Ryan Durrani for GT Daytona. Pace car drives onto the pit lane, and Fitzy will lead the field to green. Pitter patter, let's get at her, boys. The green flag is out and away here in Canada. Good start to the field as it goes through Quebec Corner for the opening time today. A little bit of dust being kicked up as the field will rumble through. Up the hill they go underneath of the Continental Tire Bridge. A little bit of a stack up back in here for GT Le Mans and through Moss for the opening time today. A little bit of contact there as the 5 of Caleb Rose runs a little bit into Riley Sampson. Everybody trying to get through Moss nice and orderly as a big stack up back in there is Eric Monaco running off the road just a little bit in that Shell Pennzoil Corvette. A lot of jostling for positions back in here in GT Daytona. Buchanan and Lozano fighting for the top spot in GTD, but back up front for GT Le Mans, Zachary Fitzwater got a really good jump back there in car number 62. So field will go through the S's for the opening time today. A little bit of 3 wide off the corner. Richie Fogelman somehow making it stick. Dano Georgi just misses the tire checking there. And a big stack up on the front straightaway. 4 or 5 cars all around. Fogelman, Monaco, a big stack up involving a lot of the GT Daytona field. Ryan Durrani with a tire check in turn 1. And a big accident on the opening straight here. And most of the GT Daytona field piled into that mess. Connor Monaco's day will end after only 1 lap. Same thing for Nathan Stapleton in that number 97 car. Reggie Fogelman's horrible season will continue in the 06. It looks like the 75 was caught up in it as well. Kasumi Takashi with what appears to be mortal damage in that Bud Light 46. She'll not be going 2 in a row. And of course, Ryan Durrani finished second in the race yesterday for the Duncan 400. Racing for the Duncan Week of Speed sweepstakes, but unfortunately that Gillette number 16 Mustang completely destroyed, along with the pole sitter of Nathan Buchanan, caught up in that melee. We go back up in here, a big wreck. To start things off, as you take a look at it, I believe that all started with Reggie Fogelman going multi-wide. Pretty much all bets off from there, unfortunately. Nathan Stapleton back out and away, and Fogelman trying to get things running. There's Logan Alexander, who's taking the hood off that number 71 Dodge Viper. Zachary Fitzwater will hold the lead going through Moss for the third time under speed. Back in here for GT Daytona, and it's Carson Miller who will lead the way in that number 72. He'll duck down to the low side of Daniel Bouchard. Rather, that's Dano Georgia. I got the Dan and the Dano mixed up, as Daniel Bouchard was caught up in that opening lap melee, it looks like, and much to the dismay of the Ottawa or the Ontarian crowd here at Mosport, their driver caught up in some opening lap chaos, none of his own fault. He'll be marred deep back in the field there in that 8 machine, but still plenty of time to go. See Alex Lozano, one of the other cars that went around in that 43. Big wreck right on the start, taking out quite a few good drivers out of contention for this race win. Georgi continuing to fall a little bit ways away from the rest of the GT Le Mans field. Dylan Matthews with a little bit of off-road excursionary work. Points leader for GT Daytona right now up to third. Carson Miller and Michael Brown ahead of her. Miller is inside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken, for GTD. He is actually, where is Miller? He's all the way down 18th actually, and Michael Brown not faring a whole lot better. Last year's champion, 15th, and 18th is Miller, so a really good points day so far for Dylan Matthews, but still plenty of race to be ran. A little bit of a battle for the race lead in GT Le Mans so far. You got Zachary Fitzwater leading the way in that Bass Pro Shops number 62. And even though he is Australian, you really don't tie Zachary Fitzwater to being a road course ringer like you would with Shane Van Gisbergen or a couple of other guys here on the NASCAR circuit, like Boris said, because you look at his NASRN all-time wins, only one of those coming on an official road course. I guess if you want to count the Daytona Beach course as a road course, then you can say there's 2. But Fitzwater has been an oval specialty for pretty much the entirety of his NASRN career. But Mike Vincent Jr. has been a road course ringer, and he is looking to get his 3rd win of the season here this afternoon. He is booking it down the Andretti straightaway. Right behind that number 62 of Fitzwater going into the S's, and he is within about 10 car lengths of that 62. We'll see what the official interval will be this time around as they go through whites for the 5th time here this afternoon. A little bit more beating and banging back in the field here for GT Daytona. Miller will show the way in that number 72, and I think now we'll be able to see where everybody will cycle out. 4 cars have retired from the race. Reggie Fogelman was the only GTLM car to go to the garage area. It was Blake Beauville, Kasumi Takashi, and the 21 of Connor Monaco will hold their automobiles behind the wall. Michelle Gavinu, who who's running out the top 7 right now. Running in that 7th spot. Sato did not get a good jump right off the starting. He fell back all the way to just outside of the top 5. Riley Sampson had a good day yesterday. Has had a good past 18 hours, we'll call it, for the driver of that Orbit number 36. Got his 3rd career win in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Still looking for that elusive opening win at the Grand Touring level. He's got a good shot to do it today. He's only about 5 seconds behind Zachary Fitzwater, who's now going to run into lap traffic in the form of Nathan Stapleton. Remember, these two are owner/competitor, or owner/employee at the NS Racing level, and they'll be racing against each other tomorrow afternoon. But right now, Stapleton not letting Zachary Fitzwater get that 62 around him just yet. Fitzy looking for an opportunity to get around that 97, but Stapleton not relenting, I should say. Fitzy looking for an angle. And I'm surprised that Nathan has not pulled that 97 off of the road, and that's going to bring Mike into this battle here. About a car length and a half off the back end of Fitzy. I'm very surprised that Nathan Stapleton did that to one of his own drivers. That's the equivalent of Logan Williams blocking Daniel Bouchard here in this race, or if Brennan Wilmington was on track, if he was blocking Caleb Rose. Or, I mean, we don't have owners here, the FMGTC, just yet. It's mostly just some spillover guys from the Mission Barbecue Cup Series is what we're really seeing here. And kind of relenting, or kind of putting down what we'll hopefully y'all pick up, but very, very surprised Stapleton did not let his teammate pass, and his Cup Series teammate, I should say. Maybe those two will race each other a little bit differently come tomorrow. But Stapleton, he's going to duck down to the preferred line, and now we got Ryan Durrani coming back in this battle. Troubles for John Andrews in the 3 car. He's marred a little bit ways behind in that number 3 machine. Mike Vincent Jr. looking for a lane. How about Michael Lewis? All 3 NS Racing cars all on top of one another. This is the funniest thing ever. I love when these stupid little coincidences come up. As Michael Lewis, who was a rookie driving for Nathan Stapleton at the Cup level, Stapleton is in front. Zachary Fitzwater is in front of this GTLM field as Caleb Rose looking to get around Vincent Jr., who's hemorrhaging spots right now. You cannot make this up. The 3 NS Racing drivers all in line, and one of them is a lap down car and is holding up a couple of these guys and making this battle become very, very interesting over the last couple of laps or so. We're halfway through this fuel run, so these cars are going to get very loose the more that these tires begin to wear out a little bit. But Fitzy cannot get around to Big Staple. He's looking low, he's looking high, he's looking all over the damn place, and Michael Lewis might try to bum rush it going through 5. Right on the back end, everybody with the train. Here comes Caleb Rose in the 5 car, and he is gonna make 4 passes in 1 corner. Caleb Rose, with potentially the biggest move of the race, he'll go out front. Fitzy's still stuck behind the 97 car. Here comes Michael Lewis to the low side. Riley Sampson pushing that 56. What on earth is happening here? As Fitzy, he is not going to be happy with his team owner after this one. Fitzwater now back in 3rd. Riley Sampson down to the low side. And Caleb Rose looking to set sail, but he's got Ryan Durrani right in front of him. And they still can't get around Stapleton. But by the time, this is going to end one of 2 ways. Either Stapleton is going to get dumped by one of these guys up in here, or they're just going to be stuck and we're going to get the GT Daytona cars to be back up in here. Speaking of which, Carson Miller continues to lead as Michael Brown was passed there by the 26 of Dylan Matthews. Oh, a little close there between Durrani and Caleb Rose, but they'll get around one another. Now the 56 of Lewis will get around Stapleton, and Fitzwater is still stuck behind him. Now Fitzy will dart down to the inside. I can imagine he's probably going to show him that he's number one. Yeah, you can see it a little bit out of the window there. Fitzwater not happy with how his NS Racing teammate on the NBCS side of things raced him there over these last couple of laps, and he's lost the lead, and he's stuck yet behind another back marker in the form of Ryan Durrani. He'll dart to the inside of the slower, damaged GT Daytona car. Well, now the race for the Le Mans lead will open up just a little bit here. My God, Caleb Rose with probably one of the best moves that I've seen in a hot minute here at the FMGTC level. Went down to the inside. He was in fourth going into that corner. He came out of it in first. And those are the kind of moves that, Caleb Rose was able to make. He is a veteran racer here on this channel. And if you want to talk about a guy that is a Swiss Army knife, a little bit of a plug-and-play driver like we typically see, that is what Caleb Rose is. You take a look at his career wins. He has won on the short track of Hillside, the road course of Willow Springs. He's won at Ricky. He won in Mexico City 2 months ago. Is it just those four? I believe it's just, yeah, it was 5. Oh, yeah, Caleb Rose. What's special with Caleb Rose? Oh, yeah, Caleb Rose won the Daytona 2.4 back in 2023, back when it was a special event. It is the amount of things that Caleb Rose has been able to do, and most of his wins, out of his 5 wins on the NASRN, 3 of them have come on road courses. 2 of them in a Grand Touring car, 1 in a Cup car. And it's just been incredible to what the Harlan, Kentucky native has been able to do here on these road courses, and big part of the reason why he was able to win in Mexico 2 months ago. And he's right now 6th in the points standing, 60 points behind Mike Vincent Jr., who has fallen back a lot there in that 78. Back in here, well, Anthony Stapleton fell off the face of the earth. Here's Alexander Rowan, the 88, getting a little bit of service there on the pit lane. Where did Nathan Stapleton go? Did he fall off the face of... Well, not sure what happened to Nathan Stapleton. You'll see it on your screen. John Andrews will be into the pit lane as well. But Nathan falling off the map there. Tough break for him. But yeah, like I said, I guess option A was really the result of that. He probably just got dumped after holding up one too many cars. I love Nathan. Big close friend of his. But I get that this is completely AI and just robots driving here, and that's not real racing, but it is just, it's funny when that kind of stuff lines up. And it just becomes fodder for just hysterical moments like that here on the North American Sim Racing Network. The top 3 now all in line, going through Moss up in turn 5. Zachary Fitzwater now pressuring the back end of Michael Lewis in that number 56 machine. Fitzy right on the tail end of that Motor Rock Jaguar. Jaguar trying to go back to Gatorade victory lane here this season. Toyota's got 1 win in the form of Caleb Rose. And I believe that everybody else, I'm trying to think, does Jaguar have any wins this year? Because Vincent Jr.'s got 2, Rose has got 1 with Toyota. I can believe I forgot Owen Miles won at Papyrus. And, oh yeah, Justin Williams has got 1 for Jaguar back at Denver. I always forget about that Denver race. I forgot about that Papyrus race, too. I forgot Owen Miles won that race. It has been a long time since we've recorded a Grand Touring race here. Broadcasted, I should say. You tend to forget a lot of things. But something we're not forgetting, or haven't forgot, is the dominance that Caleb Rose has had last or 2 months ago in Mexico City. But Michael Lewis right on the back end. The Jaws theme is playing for Caleb Rose with that Motor Rock Jaguar right behind him. The Jaws theme is simultaneously playing for Zachary Fitzwater right on the back end of that 56 car. Going through the S's once again are your 3 leaders. Fitzwater looking to go down the low line. He'll stay up high. He's actually going to lose a little bit of time going on the high side. Back in here for GT Daytona, Dylan Matthews has gotten around Carson Miller, who's right on the back end of the 25 of Brown. Aaron Abel up in this battle as well, as those two will go side by side going into turn number 10. Those two continue to go door to door. They want a little bit more. Carson Miller wants that lead right back there in that 72. Dylan Matthews looking for her first win of the 2025 season. Somebody was really off track there. I don't remember. Yeah, Dylan Matthews won at Papyrus last year for GT Daytona. So she's got 2 wins here on the NESRN. She's looking for her first win of 2025 at a Grand Touring car. Won the Daytona 500 at the MBCS level back in February. And a big stack up back in there. John Andrews, Esteban Lacer, and the 14 I should say, of Igor Barreto all caught up. And Tango going out of turn 5 and up the Andretti straightaway. Lacer won the first race yesterday at Hillside, and he'll be relegated deep back in the field. Igor Barreto got a little bit of air along with John Andrews. Teleport, I believe he did. So John Andrews will be going to the pit lane, and look out! I forgot about that. I hate this pit wall so much. No matter how many times I try to fix this pit wall, drivers still phase through it. Juan Rodriguez stuck on the service area. He'll try to get out. And Angel Gutierrez's day will come to a screeching halt going through turn 10. It's not what you want. It's not what you want for Juan Rodriguez as well. I've tried to fix that wall so many times. And I don't know what it is. I don't know. For next year, I might have to just completely rebuild that section of wall. And just try to do it that way, because that is just the stupidest thing ever, as Esteban will transition back out here in betwixt the GTLM leaders. Zachary Fitzwater's gotten around Michael Brown for that, or Michael Lewis, I should say. Now the Michael's mixed up. Lewis will now be relegated back to 3rd. He's got to pick between himself and Michelle Gavineau. Oh, Juan Rodriguez. That's not the limp I typically want to go there in that 75, and he might be in the racing lane going up through Moss. He's got to be careful going down. And he is really just trying to limp that 75 car back to the garage area, to at least his pit stall, to potentially his garage area. Igor Barreto is in the pit lane. Colin Bear is down. We're about at this time where we're going to start seeing drivers come down the service area. I believe that is going to be now. So lap 17 is going to be the magic number for these drivers come down. Everybody besides Mike Vincent Jr. will be going down the service area. Vincent, Sato, Skylar Taylor, Palmer, among the LM drivers to stay out, but we're going to focus here with Zachary Fitzwater. He'll come down the pit lane. Bradley Ream will also go an extra lap there in that number 40 machine, but pretty much everybody will be coming down the service area this time around. Eric Monaco will stay out for an extra lap. Caleb Rose is out and away. Zachary Fitzwater will go to second. Angel Gutierrez was a lap down, and pretty much everybody will come back in the same order they came in. And I'll give Caleb Rose another lap led here. Whether he was out in front, it'll give Mike Vincent Jr. the race lead here this next time around. Sato trying to get underneath of Lasser. That's the battle for just Lasser trying to stay on the lead lap here. Esteban a little bit wide going through the corner. Looks like the 49, the 20 will come down this time by, along with Mike Vincent Jr. He's got to be careful. Tatiana Nagora was coming through. But Vincent Jr. will log a lap led there, and that's 78. We're going to have to see how this overcut will work for these drivers. Justin Williams, who also stayed out an extra lap in the 86, same thing with the 2. And here's Caleb Rose, right on the rear end of everybody in that number 5 car. And he's going to catch everybody. Pants down and hungry there. He's going to blow past everybody here that was trying to do the overcut. Vincent Jr. will come back out in the 78. Zachary Fitzwater will go back up to second. Vincent Jr. will come out in the 4th spot. Go back in here to GT Daytona, see how everything shakes out. There is the 26 of Matthews. I believe there's Michael Brown, who is the race leader as of right now, and he indeed is. It's going to be a little close, and by close, I mean not really close at all. But going back to second will be Dylan. Trying to take advantage of the cool tires there. The 26 is the 98 of Abel. He'll go up to second. And now Dylan's just got to try to warm up those BF Goodriches. Going through Quebec, she's got Miller and Colin Bear right behind her. Yeah, opening cycle of pit stops has been completed. Caleb Rose has got a big lead over Zachary Fitzwater, 3 seconds over the 62 of Fitzy, leads the 5. He's looking for his second win of the season. And you know, going back to last year, it took all the way up until the final race of the season for us to get our first multi-time winner. Today, we could potentially have 2 multi-time winners through the opening 6 races. And we could have a very exciting championship battle on our hands going to the back end of the season here. Caleb Rose has been consistent over these last couple of races. Of course, he won the race in Mexico City. And aside from Denver, where that team just really didn't nail the setup that day, and Willow Springs, where he crashed out as well, Daytona was able to get 90 points off of that race. Trying to see where Caleb actually finished these races. A third place finish at Daytona for Caleb. Finished all the way down in 14th at Willow Springs. He crashed out of that race. A 9th at Papyrus, another 14th at Denver, and a win last month. You know, Caleb has been consistent when he's needed to be. You know, probably races 2 and 4. You know, Willow Springs, that was a crash fest. Everybody knows that. You know, in Denver, he just started all the way in the back in that race, and it is very, very hard to pass, especially when you're towards the back. But Caleb has come from more behind in the past, and he's looking really, really good so far. He is running very similarly to what we saw from the 2 of Eric Monaco last year. You know, just complete and utter domination in this race. No other way to really put it other than just he's been dominating this race. He took advantage of Zachary Fitzwater and everybody being held up by some lap traffic, but all in all, he has had the speed and he is booking it. Down the Andretti straightaway goes that number 5 car. He's just got a lot of speed in that Vodafone number 5. Was able to play the fuel strategy game last race in Mexico City. But here today, no such handicap there. Michael Brown shows the way in that 25 car. Last year's champion. Won only one race, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he only won Thornton. He indeed only won one race last year in Thornton, but was consistent enough to win the championship over Dylan Matthews. I tell you, Dylan is looking for revenge after last year, and she has been doing a hell of a job of doing that. He's got the points lead right now, just inside the podium in that 3rd spot. It's all about where you finish. It's all about collecting points. If you want to win a championship, you've got to finish well. Of course, the ultimate goal in each of these races is going for the win, because that's what we're all here for. But being able to finish well is also the ticket for victory. You look at Dylan's results as well this season. She has been really, really good so far. Daytona, that was an 18th place run. She was knocked out in that contest. But Willow, 4th place finish. Papyrus, a top 10 finish. She finished back in 7th. Denver 2nd. Mexico City in 3rd, and now she's in 3rd here again. It's those consistent top 10 and top 5 finishes that have propelled Dylan Matthews to a points lead. It's a little bit fragile, but you look at everybody else towards the top of the points pylon there for GT Daytona. Brooke Paquette, very consistent. She does have a win. Same thing with Kasumi Takashi. Takashi, I believe. Yeah, Takashi is knocked out of this race. Connor Monaco is knocked out of this race as well. But Aaron Abel has been very quiet so far this season in that number 98. Have to see what he's been able to do. It's all about just waiting and seeing. You don't win a championship on day number 1, but you can certainly set yourself up for winning a championship on day 1. You can definitely do it on day number 6, is what we've got here today. Fitzy back there in 2nd. Michael Lewis behind him. I've been really impressed with Michael Lewis over these last couple of weeks at the Mission Barbecue Cup Series level. He's been able to do his job well. He's one of the 8 drivers that'll be racing tomorrow at Papyrus back down in the States in the Duncan Week of Speed Sweepstakes. Taking a look at those guys down in there. Michael Lewis will be racing against Rogel Dorn. We have they had qualifying for that race earlier, and trying to see where those two are. Got the qualifying results up in here. Well, funny enough, Caleb Rose is on the pole position for tomorrow's race as well. Alex Lozano, Riley Sampson. It's actually funny how many FMGTC guys are actually inside the top 5. Go over where everybody's starting. But Caleb Rose, Alex Lozano are on row 1 for tomorrow's race. Riley Sampson and Dylan Matthews are on row 2. And Esteban Lacer will round out the top 5. But looking to see where Michael Lewis is starting. He is in 13th, and Rogel Dorn starting deep in the field in 34th. But Papyrus, we say it every year, it's a wild card track. We saw it with the FMGTC. It is such a wild card track in terms of the racing. It's not a traditional road course. It is a high-banked, high-speed racing facility. To call it a road course is arbitrary. There is one right turn. The fearsome right-hander, of course, but there's still only one right turn at Papyrus, but it is Such a fun track, especially adding the safer barriers. I'm so proud of myself for being able to do that project and seeing a ton of people all across the Enter 2003 landscape using my version of Papyrus. It's a great track in its own right, and with a little bit of more of a modern feel to it, it is just a beautiful facility. But Owen Miles and Carson Miller will be running against one another, because Miles will be running in the 05. Is Owen still in this race? I forget. Yeah, he's here. Where's Owen? There he is. Right there in that number 59 car. And his opponent, Carson Miller, right there in the number 72 711 machine. Piloting the number 8 FYE Dodge Charger. Somebody was off track there for a brief moment. Just got a little caught up there with the tire barriers. And speaking of caught up, that's what Zachary Fitzwater is doing. He's right on the back bumper of that 5 machine, putting the chrome horn to the back end of Igor Beretta was Caleb Rose. And now Rose giveth and taketh with the lap cars. He's going to cut off a hard-charging Michael Lewis. Everybody knows to tail those two tandem drafting going down the Andretti straightaway. Is going to be tight going through the S's. Fitzwater will once again be caught behind a lap down car. He nearly put Igor Barretto into the tire barriers. Igor goes really wide through turn 10. Fitzy off the road just a little bit. He's able to gather it back up and going. Mike Vincent Jr. down to the low side. Remember, this is the battle for the points lead in GTLM. Albeit Fitzy is 40 points behind Mike Vincent Jr., but Mike has been, talk about consistency, that's been the name of the game for Mike Vincent Jr. this season. We'll talk about his finishes a little bit later on here, but right now we've got another battle for this lead in GT Le Mans. Caleb Rose still stuck behind the lap down car of Tatiana Nagora, that Benzoil number 22. Michael right on the back door of Caleb. He's going to look for a ledge. These are going to be side by side. And Michael Lewis with a clean pass going through turn number 5. He'll get the job done, but he's going to have the same issue when he catches back up to Tatiana in that 22 car. What a pass there from Michael Lewis. He'll get down to the low side and he'll get around Caleb Rose. Going back in here to GT Daytona. Michael Brown still shows the way. Right behind Logan Williams, once again just trying to nail the setup and unfortunately not succeeding in that 6 car here this afternoon. Lewis will get around Nagora there, so both Michael Brown and Michael Lewis are leading the way here at Mosport. Now Caleb Rose trying to get around the lap down car of Nagora. Going around the corner, already approaching the midway point through this race. It has been a fantastic race so far here this afternoon, and the gooding is just getting good here, especially with all this lap down traffic in front of these GTLM leaders. Rose will get around Nagora, but Nagora fighting back just a little bit. Caleb, nearly a little bit of contact there. Nagora will get right back around the 5 of Rose. That's not what you want there. It's Tatiana looking to set sail. Caleb in that much faster GTLM car sucks up right to the back bumper. That Shell Pennzoil Dodge Viper. They'll be looking for a lane as they go through the S's once again. Zachary Fitzwater right behind Caleb. Mike Vincent Jr. waiting in the wings. Rose peeking down to the low side of Nagora. A little bit of contact there. Those two will keep it straight going through turn 10. And Rose will finally get around the slower Daytona car, but not before Michael Lewis setting sail there in that 56. And Fitzwater, oh my, it is not even funny at this point. Zachary Fitzwater continues to not be able to figure out lap down traffic. That is the 3rd time today that we have seen Fitzwater struggle to get around a lapper. Looking the low side of Nagora, going up through Moss. And he will get that pass. He'll be stuck on the high side there. Agora looking back down low again. She's trying to race for a little bit of track position here in terms of staying on the lead lap. Of course, Michael Lewis is about halfway up the Andretti straightaway at this point. And Lewis still a far ways away from catching up to Logan Alexander, but once he catches up to Logan Alexander, in trouble for Logan Williams. We just saw the 6 car, and he has got into the tire barriers by the looks of it. A hard crash for Logan Williams. He will go to the garage area after a hard crash, and he'll take a look at it. It's not been a good season for Logan. It is. That team's still just trying to figure out the setup on that 6 car. They've just, aside from the pole at Papyrus, Logan's team has just not been able to really figure things out. It's tough. It really is. It's such a tough break for that program. And Logan also just looking to get things going. The cup level side of things, and Agora continues to hold up lap traffic. There's Michelle Gavineau right on the back end of this 22, and I feel like we're going to get another situation like we saw with Nathan Stapleton, where your leader is going to get dumped. And where's Michael Brown? Michael Brown nowhere back at the front as he's down the pit lane here in that 25. Same thing with the 88. This is an interesting strategy here by these guys. It came down about 13 laps ago, I would gauge, just when Brown came down around lap 17. Actually, I believe that everybody is on strategy. But everybody is going to have to come down at least one more time. This next time by will be the midway point through this afternoon's race. A little bit of contact there between the 8 and the 31 and the other 8 car. How about this recovery for Daniel Bouchard? Actually, I believe Dylan Matthews may have actually come down the pit lane. I thought Daniel majestically gained a lot of positions, but no, I believe Dylan indeed came down the service area in that 26. Or did she just lose a couple of spots? She may have got caught up with the 6 of Williams. Oh, and there goes the 8. Hard into the inside attenuator. Somehow, neither of those cars sustained damage because the inside wall is broken. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Fortunately, those two will continue to stay pointed straight on the road here. But yeah, we're closing in on this next cycle of pit stop. Everybody going about 17 to 18 laps, so we're right at this next cycle here. We're just past the halfway point, so everybody is going to have to make another set of pit stops with about, we'll gauge, probably in the ballpark of 16 laps to go, I'd say. So Michael Lewis has caught up to the back end of Logan Alexander, and he'll get around that 71 car. Oh, and looking at the back end, I heard some contact, and indeed there was contact. Bradley Ream, not sure who he ran into the back of, but he ran in the back of somebody, I believe. It may have been Igor Barreto that Bradley Ream. Nope, it was Tatiana Agora. Although I don't know if those two were in the same incident, but they've got the same crumpled up nose. And both those drivers' days will end here early. Cross flags were displayed this last time by, officially halfway home in the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. Both of these drivers will go into the pit lane, and I believe Nagora might be able to continue. If she's not able to continue, I believe Bradley will pull behind the wall, and Tatiana will pull behind the wall, We'll see what Bradley will do as Logan is back down in the pit area. Survey says, and Bradley Ream will also go to the garage area at 2 more cars back behind the wall. Fighting is just continuing to get good back in the front here for GTLM, with Lewis now leading Rose by nearly 2 seconds this time around. Lewis is going to stay on the same strategy that he was. Next time by will be the magic time for him to come down the pit lane, and here we go. Bryce Egan is in. Eric Monaco is in. Roberto Crown Jr. is in. George I is in. Dylan Matthews, Matt Lagacy, Nathan Buchanan, and here we go. Lap number 34, the magic lap, is when everybody's going to come down the pit lane here. Aguirre Sano will once again stay out an extra lap in the 49. But Michael Lewis will come down the pit lane in that 56 car. We're going to focus here since he's got pit stop number 1, Zachary Fitzwater. We'll focus along with him as the other GT Daytona cars will come back out of the pit lane. Saw a little bit of front end damage on the nose of Brooke Paquette's racing machine. Lewis is out and away. Same thing with Caleb Rose. Mike Vincent Jr. a little late coming out of his stall, and a very slow stop for Zachary Fitzwater. He's going to lose 3 positions on the pit lane. So a bad day getting a little bit worse for Fitzy. Your pole sitter can't be too happy with his team. An 18-second pit stop. Scratch that, a 20-second pit stop for Zachary Fitzwater. Typically we see pit stops in the 14 to 15-second range. And that was a very, very slow stop for Fitzy in that 62. Now we got more lap traffic up in here that everybody's going to have to navigate around. Sato is down the pit lane. We'll see where everybody will cycle out. There is Lewis. He's halfway down. The Andretti back straight away. And it is a very, very slow trundle down into the pit lane. Sato just now getting to his pit stall. See where everybody comes out. There is Lewis out through the S's into turn number 10. And he will retake the lead. Here after this pit cycle, Sato just now getting his left side tires, and he'll be out and away. Again, this is a backwards pit stop. It's what we're typically used to here on the FMGTC. Everybody will cycle back through. There is Aaron Abel, stayed out. And it looks like Igor Barreto's day will officially come to an end. He was caught up in something. Not sure who it was with. Once we find out and get a replay going, we'll show you the aftermath of that. Right now, Michael Lewis leads the way for GT Le Mans, trying to get around Alexander Rowe for position. Lap number 35 completed here, about to be completed by Lewis as he tries to get underneath of Alexander Rowe. Rowe will let that 56 car go by. I think Michael Lewis is in the catbird seat to potentially get the win here today, but don't count out Caleb Rose. He is 3 seconds back. We'll see what the interval is this time by, with Lewis trying to navigate through lap traffic. This time around, it's down to just a hair over 2 seconds. Alex Lozano will come back out onto the racetrack. Might be a little bit of a pick there between Rose and Lewis. Make it 3 lap down cars in between the 56 and the 5. A lot of lap traffic in the way of Michael Lewis, but before he goes and navigates that, let's go downstairs for a Twisted T race break. Time to go do something we haven't done in a while. Go through the field, presented by Fram. Michael Lewis leads the way for GT Le Mans, with Caleb Rose looking to make the outside lane work around Alex Lozano. He is in second. Mike Vincent Jr. is in third. Riley Sampson is fourth. Sebastian Palmer is fifth. Aguirre Sato is sixth. Zachary Fitzwater seventh. Owen Miles is eighth. Skylar Taylor is ninth. Michelle Gavinier will round out the top 10. Justin Williams is 11th. 12th is Roberto Crown Jr., 13th is Aaron Abel, 14th is Eric Monaco, 15th is Bryce Egan. Running in 16th on the pylon with first for GT Daytona is Michael Brown, second is Carson Miller, third is Colin Bear, fourth is Bruno Diacomo, fifth is Dylan Matthews as she tries to get around Ryan Durrani. Dano Georgia deep in the field there, that 21st spot. Nathan Buchanan is 22nd. Matt Lagasse 23rd. Brooke Paquette 24th. Esteban Lasser 25th. That rounds out all the lead lap cars. Daniel Bouchard is 26th, one lap down. Alexander Rowe a little bit behind Daniel Bouchard. He is multiple laps down at 88. 71. Being flanked there by a couple of other drivers. That's Logan Alexander. Leaning a little bit onto Riley Sampson. He's going to put a donut on that door. Alex Lozano runs in the 28th spot. That's pretty much everybody. You got Eric Monaco back in 14th, Leak in 15th, like we said. Ryan Durrani, Buchanan, all these drivers. That's pretty much everybody remaining here in this race. 25 cars remain on the lead lap. 31 remain here on the track. Several cars down in the garage area. Bradley Reen, Igor Barreto, Tatiana Nagora, Logan Williams, Juan Rodriguez, John Andrews, Nathan Stapleton, Blake Boville, Kasumi Takashi, Reggie Fogelman, and Connor Monaco. All the drivers knocked out of this race so far. It has been a physical race to say the least. Of course, all the replays will have been played at the time of incident, and look out! Oh boy, Logan Alexander with the best save of the afternoon. Got tied up there with a 5 of Rose. And Rosie giving him a little bit of the chrome horn going down through Quebec corner, and what a save out of that 88 car, and he showed his displeasure going through Moss. Goodness gracious, what a move, and what a save. Oh, and those two get one together once again, and Caleb Rose's day will end in the tire barriers. Rose was playing too aggressively, and he got absolutely torched. And Alexander Rowe laughing as he watches that 5 car teleport back to the pit area. And probably, arguably, Michael Lewis's biggest piece of competition junked here in the 5. We get another look at it, and it was the same thing as it was going out of Quebec. Rose playing too aggressively, and pow he goes right into the tire barriers. And Alexander Rowe saying, bump me once, shame on you. Bump me twice, shame on me. And maybe tapped a little bit going through the corner. I don't think Caleb was expecting it, but the trend will continue. Even number races are horrible for Rose. Odd number races are in his wheelhouse, and that trend will officially, once was a fluke, twice is a pattern, and 3 times is pretty much the running order here. But nonetheless, that erased a 5-second gap, or a 2-second gap, between Rose and Lewis. And now it's a 3.5-second gap between Lewis and now Mike Vincent Jr., who's looking for win number 3 of the season. It has just been a crazy race so far. We go back in here for GT Daytona, and in the zip code all by himself. Is that 98 car? Aaron Abel just racing behind Angel Gutierrez. He's pretty much just running qualifying laps at this point. How far behind is that 25? About, trying to see how much he is indeed behind. We'll see what it is this time around here for Michael Brown, as you can continue to see Caleb Rose plummet there in the standings. That time around, the gap between first and second, about 8 seconds for GT Daytona. Back in here for GT Le Mans, it is a much different story. And you look at all the lap traffic that is in between Michael Lewis and Mike Vincent Jr. The gap now down to a 20, or about a second and a quarter. Lewis right now in heavy lap traffic, trying to get around Brooke Paquette's number 31 machine. He will do so. You see a little bit of front end damage on the Paquette's number 31. Paquette trying to run that inside lane. He's going to lean on the 56 just a little bit. He'll do some agricultural work just a tad, but so will the 78 as he goes off track. Looking for the 2-for-1 special, trying to get around both Lasser and Bouchard. Now Bouchard looking to get in the slipstream of that 78 car. He'll duck down to the low side of Lasser. Again, Michael, or rather Daniel, just trying to do anything he can to remain on this lead lap and fight for a race win here in his home track. Right now running in that 11th spot, make it the 10th spot. So a good top 10 run for Daniel Bouchard so far. And now the gap continues to close. Lewis has been really good about getting around lap traffic so far. Now he's got Ryan Durrani and Matt Lagasse to deal with. Durrani very slow with a rear end damage in that Gillette Ford Mustang. Going through Moss. Turn number 5, where's the 56 go? And he's not going to make a move. Vincent trying to get around. Paquette there going through the corner. He's not able to make it stick. And Bouchard trying to run up in this battle. Here comes Vincent Jr. to the low side, using a little bit of the 78. The 78 is a little bit of a battering ram. Drafting on the tail end of Vincent Jr. as George I. Here's the battle for 9th in GT Daytona. Paquette will remain just a little bit side by side, and nearly getting turned there was Durrani going through the S's, and he'll finally submit. The 56 will get around him. Every time Vincent Jr. is able to pass a lap down car, so does Michael Lewis, and those lap down cars beginning to become few and far between the further we get into this run. We're expecting these guys to potentially come back down around the lap 50 mark, I would gauge. They came down on lap 34 to 35. So lap 51, about 10 to 11 laps to go will be the next time we'll see these guys coming down the pit lane here. Of Dylan Matthews right now, running her race deep in the field. Angel Gutierrez back down the pit lane. Aaron Abel continues to hold a pretty big lead, and Zachary Fitzwater continues to fall back in the 62. He is still inside the top 10, that 7th spot. Now the fight is on. Vincent Jr. has gotten around Ryan Durrani. We'll see how Lewis is able to get around Lagasse going up through the corners. Going down into Clayton they go for the 44th time under speed. Nathan Buchanan, the next GT Daytona car on the chopping block, along with the 02 of Dano Georgi. Lagasse really holding up this 56, going back up the hill. Lewis trying to make the outside lane work. This is going to be tough going through Moss. Lagasse trying to hold it in there. He's going to have the preferred line going through 5. He'll get there, but trying to get the run off of the corner is Lewis. Back on the Andretti straightaway they go. They remain side by side. Lagasse trying to punch that Viper up through the alley. But he will submit. Michael Lewis not quite home free in terms of lap traffic, but a little bit of breathing room before he'll catch up to the back end of Buchanan here in the next couple of laps. And now Vincent Jr. trying to navigate around Lagasse as well. Top two have pulled away for GT Le Mans back in here. It's a big gaggle of cars all fighting for third. 4 cars in a row, and they're behind a plethora of lap-down traffic. Here's Sebastian Palmer trying to get up to the inside of Sampson, going through one to no avail there. Back up the hill goes Michael. Looking lap number 45 of 62. Here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and Michael Lewis looking for his first win here on the NASRN. Love to become the 218th different winner, rather the 82nd different winner here on the North American Sim Racing Network, but we've still got a long way to go and a long way to get there before we can officially start crowning that number 56 car a winner. Logan Alexander back down the pit lane here, and he'll be another lap car that's going to add into this battle just a little bit. So that's not what Lewis wanted to see there, is that 71 coming back into the picture. 6 laps to go until the money stop here for these drivers. And does anyone try to short pit? We see Logan Alexander, or Alexander Rowe, I should say. He'll try to short pit. Look at this gaggle of cars back in here. It is a Taco Bell toilet all the way back in here, as everybody just trying to fight for third for GTLM, and everybody's trying to fight for 10th here in GT Daytona. I can't believe these guys haven't all wrecked each other yet. Well, Skylar Taylor's going to do her darndest trying to. Nearly 3 wide off the corner. Here comes Palmer to the inside of Owen Miles. Riley stuck behind the 8 machine, side by side. And we got a little bit of pack racing. 4 cars in line. Zagira Sato looks to keep that trend of drafting cars going. They're on top of one another going through the S's. One wrong move would explode this little mini pack up in here. Sampson will get through. Same thing with Palmer. And Owen Miles going to be held up just a little bit in that 59 car right behind the 8 of Bouchard. Now he'll get around the 8. Nearly a little bit of contact between those 2 cars. And now Bruno Giacomo with trouble in the 1 machine. He is holding up Mike Vincent Jr. like there is no tomorrow going up the hill. Matt Lagasse might get around Vincent Jr. going up through Moss. Bruno Giacomo's day is not going to end well. We got a turn there coming off turn 10, and he was running up inside the top 5. Running in 7th, I should say. Last time around, you'll take a look and see what happened. But now a little bit more breathing room between Lewis and Vincent Jr. Coming to the final 4 laps until the final set of pit stops here at Mosport. And now a lot of clean racetrack in front of Michael Lewis. What does Vincent Jr. do in terms of the pit strategy? That's going to be the $1 million question, is who will come down the pit lane. If anybody tries to stay out an extra lap, I would imagine that these guys would come down on the same lap, trying to be on equal footing in terms of tires, because what we've seen, if you stay out and do the overcut, you know, that ain't going to work. We saw it already. We saw with a couple of cars towards the tail end of the field here. But if Vincent Jr. is able to get within striking distance of Lewis, I don't think I would hate that strategy. It gives you 1 lap fresher tires than your adversary, and you're coming out at essentially the same point as your competitor. You know what? I take that away. If I'm Mike Vincent Jr.'s team, I'm going to go for the overcut here. You know, it'll give me a lap lead logged. And here we go. This is going to be the $1 million question, and Vincent Jr. will come down once again. Same thing with Michael Brown, Vincent Jr., and Michael Lewis. All 3 Michaels in the field here coming down the pit lane. George I will come down. Looks like Seb Palmer in trouble for the 56. He gets run into by the 33. Roberto Crown Jr. was coming out of his pit stall as Michael Lewis was coming in. And how much damage would Michael have to repair? Here's Mike Vincent Jr. in the 78. They're not going to repair any damage on that 56. The jack is going to drop side by side right out of the pit lane. Lewis will win the race off. And that was the money stop here on lap number 49. And everybody should be good to go in terms of fuel. And Lewis still got a lap lead right there. Skylar Taylor now out front here for GT Le Mans, back in here for GT Daytona. An extended pit stop there for Michael Lewis in the Michael Brown in the 25. He had some damage to repair, I think. Aaron Abel continues to lead in that number 98 car. In trouble for Michael Brown. He was running up inside the top 5 for GT Daytona, and something amiss on that motor machine. Tough break as a second wave of GTLM cars will hit the pit area. Eric Monaco is coming out. As he was coming in, trying to see where Michael Lewis is. He's already on the front straightaway. He's going to book it like there's no tomorrow. Everybody trying to book it off the pit lane. Taking his right side tires is the 49. Palmer and Taylor out in front of Sato there off the service area. Owen Miles, who also came down back on lap number 49, will be in. And now the fight is on for the end here. Michael Lewis right on the back end. Matthews going up the hill. Gutierrez now holding up Vincent Jr. Both these leaders in a little bit of a tussle. I think there was a little bit of contact between Lewis and Matthews. Here comes Vincent Jr. He's going to roar right up to the rear end of this 56. 13 laps to go in the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. And Mike Vincent Jr. potentially with an opportunity to grab the lead here late. He's right on the rear end of that 56 car. These two have been playing cat and mouse all day long, and it's going to come down to these final 12 laps here at Mosport. This is the closest that Mike has been to the back end of Michael. Michael Brown still in the pit lane. Aaron Abel continues to lead in GT Daytona. Only a handful of cars still on the lead lap in GT Daytona, but this is the battle for this GTLM race win. Still quite a bit of lap down traffic back in here. Ryan Durrani has just been very slow. He's been a moving chicane so far today. Dylan Matthews continuing to hold up these top two, and you go back to third right now. 8.5 seconds back. If these two get together, which the way that they're racing, they very might will. We were seeing how much those top 4 guys were all on top of one another. If the top 2 of Michael or Lewis and Vincent Jr. wreck out, it is going to be a dogfight all the way to the end. Lewis right on the tail end of Dylan Matthews going through the corner. These two adversaries on the Cup Series side of things, and their adversaries here on the racetrack. 11 laps to go here from Mosport. The top two drivers separated by about 3 car lengths. They still have not been able to get around Dylan Matthews just yet, and Dylan Matthews might actually be given a little bit of a push here from these guys. Back up in this battle for the GTLM lead, and some front-end damage for Aaron Abel, your leader for GT Daytona. This will throw a monkey wrench into things as Bryce Egan is off track in the 8. He's got an issue going up through the corner, trying to get through as Lewis trying to make the outside lane work of Matthews. He's going to go wide. He'll get the run off of the corner. Vincent Jr. trying to get around Colin Bear there. Something amiss on the 8 of Bryce Egan, and his day will end early, I believe, as a flat tire. And no, Lewis wasn't able to get the jump off of the corner. Vincent Jr. continuing to hustle behind that 56 car. Now, I'm liking the strategy that Dylan is playing right now. Utilize the GTLM leaders to try to push you up in this battle, because right now Aaron Abel is hemorrhaging spots, and the 33 of Roberto Crown Jr. has gone around, and he'll be going to the garage area. Now the 56 has gotten around Dylan Matthews. Now, when Dylan is still up in 3rd right now for GT Daytona. Now Carson Miller is next up on the chopping block, and then Aaron Abel is next. Abel had a 10 or an 8-second lead over Carson Miller at that point. That lead now dropped to 3.5 seconds. Make that 2.5 seconds, I should say. Abel losing a lot of time and not able to get around the 2 machine that time around was Carson Miller. Eric Monica, the defending winner of this race, now in jeopardy of going down a lap. He is currently in 11th for GT Le Mans. Trouble for Alex Lozano in the 43. He is also limping around. It was indeed just a flat tire for Bryce Egan. He will only go down, but he will go down 2 laps. And Egan, this is going to be, I thought it was going to be a little bit dangerous coming off of the pit lane there. But Abel just trying to baby that 98 car around this course. Two battles up in here. Both of them for top spots. Right now, fastest lap of the race belonging to Skylar Taylor. 74, second time there for SkyTag. Esteban Lasser holds the fastest time for GT Daytona. A 75.5 second time. And here we go. Once again, it's the Michael and Mike show. Michael has been dominant, but the points leader of Mike Vincent Jr. continuing to be right on the back end of this 56. You see all the lap traffic that is in front of these guys. Up in here, Carson Miller does not want to go a lap down. He is now losing time to the 98, just a little bit there. He is now 2.5 seconds back, but here comes Lewis to the inside of the 72. Got Bryce Egan in front of him as well. A lot of lap down traffic in front of Michael Lewis. You see some tire tracks there. I believe that is where Roberto Crown Jr. may or may not have gone off. Miller now being lapped in the 72, under 10 laps to go, and here comes Vincent Jr. right on the rear end of the 56. Where does Mike go? Michael trying to utilize the outside lane. A little bit of contact between the 56 and the 72. However, Vincent Jr. does not make his move quite yet. He'll fall down to a car length and a half. Now trouble, Sebastian Palmer around to the 20. It was Palmer that went around back in the field, and the whole tail end of this top 5 here of GT Le Mans has been involved. A crash there as Owen Miles and Sebastian Palmer got tangled up together. And this is truly the witching hour of this race here, where anything can happen, and it absolutely will happen. Here comes Vincent Jr. trying to utilize the outside lane. He's trying to get around Carson Miller. Now is going to be his prerogative. He puts the back bumper to the 72, but Miller will hold firm. Vincent Jr. knows that his time is beginning to run out. He's now stuck between Miller and Lewis, who is right now going to try to catch up to Eric Monaco, and eventually the leader for GT Daytona, that number 98 car. Aaron Abel continuing to put a little bit of time there on Carson Miller, and he knows that if he is not lapped, the 56 or whoever is the leader for GT Le Mans by the time this race ends takes the black and white, he'll get an extra lap, and if he doesn't blow up, he will be the race winner for GT Daytona. But of course, that is wishful thinking to not go a lap down here. But Michael Lewis is hungry for a win, right on the tail end of 2 of Monaco. Going underneath the front straightaway bridge, begin lap number 57. Vincent Jr. still right on the back end of Carson Miller. Both these drivers just trying to get around their fellow adversaries. Who was the first one to try to get around the car they're trying to? They both try to get around their car at the same time. Here comes Lewis right on the back end of Monaco. Still not able to get around. Here comes Carson Miller. He gets around the race leader and he'll get his lap back. What a move there from Miller, and Colin Bear will get around the 78 of Vincent Jr. I tell you what, it is one thing to catch up to the man you're trying to chase, but it has been a heck of another thing to try to get around him. This time around, 5 laps to go for Michael Lewis. The battle continues to rage on, and Carson Miller just trying to stay on the lead lap here to fight for this GT Daytona win. Those two door to door. Vincent Jr. continues to be on the back end of McDonald's number 9 of Bear. Now looking to put 3 cars in between himself and Mike Vincent Jr. is that 56. Going through Moss Corner once again. Down on the inside goes that Motor Rock Jaguar. Side by side in front of him, and now Vincent Jr. continuing to lose time. He's going to be held up there by Colin Bear. Here comes this 26. Dylan Matthews looking for a spot there. Trying to get back inside this podium here for GT Daytona. Saying nay-nay, however, is Colin Bear. He's getting a push from Mike Vincent Jr. And now, Mike's time is starting to run out a lot here. 4 to go this next time around. He has got to be very aggressive, but he has got a big gap between himself and that number 56 of Michael Lewis. The gap all the way up to 3 seconds between the 78 and the 56. And now Skylar Taylor is down the pit lane, and Nathan Buchanan with an issue in the 99. The pole sitter for this race junked in the Menards number 99 Ford. Skylar Taylor with an issue as well. And again, this race is far from over. We've seen it. It is absolutely go time here for Vincent Jr., but he cannot seem to navigate around the lap down traffic, and it is all clean and green in front of Michael Lewis. Eric Monaco now holding up Vincent Jr. as he goes up the hill. Vincent Jr. started this race in second, and he does not want to finish in the same exact spot. Meanwhile, Aaron Abel now on the chopping block as the two leaders in each class will meet here for the only time towards the tail end of the race like we typically see. 3 laps to go from Michael Lewis. The gap now all the way up to 6 seconds. Lewis is running flying laps out there in that 56 car. Talk about a run here that Lewis has had. He has dominated this race so far today, and he has played the lap traffic to perfection so far, but there is still a lot of time left here in this contest, and Vincent Jr. may be running out of time, but still a lot can go wrong in the next 2.5 laps. Think of what Michael Lewis was thinking of going into this race, coming out of last night, being the rookie. I believe he and Rogel Dorn were, and Carson Miller is also running in it, and Campbell Marsh. Okay, so that storyline wasn't going anywhere, but being one of the rookies that is fighting for this Duncan Week of Speed Championship, sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go. Coming into today, Michael Lewis's thought process, was just get a good race and focus on tomorrow. But Lewis with a great job so far today, taking advantage of some other drivers' misfortune. Lewis started this race back in the 7th spot, avoided the opening lap chaos. And same thing, how about Aaron Abel in that 98 car? He started all the way back in 12th. I believe that is the lowest starting position for any driver that has won so far this year. Of course, the adjective win, or the verb win, I should say, still very much up in the air. I mean, I know you want to finish on the lead lap if you're Aaron Abel, but I think you just let the 56 go by. You've got one less lap to complete. I don't know if that'll be the case. Nonetheless, white flag in the air one more time around the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Goes the 56 of Michael Lewis. The gap now up to 7.5 seconds over the 78 of Mike Vincent Jr. We thought it was going to be the Mike and Mike show going to the tail end of this race, and it was for all but the final 7 or so laps. Up through Clayton Corner for the final time. Through Quebec Corner, I should say, going into Moss. One final time goes the 56. He's right on the back end of the GT Daytona leader. Does the 98 allow the 56 to pass him here on the Andretti straightaway? The two leaders side by side here. Where does Lewis go? He's going to look down to the low side. Coming off of turn number 9 through turn 10. Where does he get around the 98? Off of the final corner. One more lap will be in the books here for the 98, but checkered flag is in the air. It'll go to the 56 of Daytona, Florida's Michael Lewis. And the battle is still on for GT Daytona, but not really much of a battle there. If Aaron Abel just pulled off the road and let that 56 car go around, he would have automatically got the race win there. But he's got to complete one more circuit around the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. For Michael Lewis, it was domination. The same thing for Aaron Abel. I believe he led almost every single lap of this contest. He goes through Moss for the final time. Talk about the pedigree with this car. John Stewart won the Daytona 2.4 back in 2022 with this machine. Was here last year, was fighting for a championship all the way until the final race. Big shoes to fill for Aaron Abel, but he has come to the challenge. The man third in the points will be first at the top of the pylon. Off of the final corner, the number 98 of Aaron Abel will come around turn 10. He'll get his first octane checkered flag here on the NESRN. He had to do an extra 2.5 laps here, but Aaron Abel has done it. And Michael Lewis will be going to Gatorade Victory Lane here along with Aaron Abel. To take a look at your standings, Michael Lewis going to Gatorade Victory Lane, only 8 cars on the lead lap here in this one. Mike Vincent Jr. comes up 8 seconds short. It was a valiant effort there from the 78, but just not being able to get around the lap traffic was his weakness. Aguirre Sada will be up to 3rd. Riley Sampson is 4th. Michelle Gavin will round out the top 5, then going back down here for GT Daytona. Aaron Abel gets the job done. Carson Miller and Colin Bayer round out the podium. Dylan Matthews will be 4th, and Matt Lagasse, who started this race in 5th, will end this race in 5th as well. Taking a look at the rest of the results, only 24 cars finished this race. We got a heck of a lot of ways to go back in this race and look at, but nonetheless, we're only getting this race week started, ladies and gentlemen. 3 of the 7 races are in the books, and we'll be back on the MBCS side of things, not tomorrow. Actually, wait. Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow is July 1st. Tomorrow is Canada Day. So congratulations to all the Canadians coming up here as we leave the Great White North for the second to final time. The opening time today. We'll be back here later on at Ricky, later on in the chase. But that'll do it here from the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Congratulations once again to Michael Lewis and Aaron Abel, a pair of first-time winners here on the North American Sim Racing Network for winning the Tim Hortons Canada Day Classic. Next time we'll be on the NESRN will be tomorrow afternoon, back down stateside for RaceDiecast.com 300K for the 3rd race of the Duncan Week of Speed at the Pirates Motorsports Park. That race airing at noon Eastern Time right here on the NESRN. I know Michael Lewis is going to be carrying a lot of momentum going into tomorrow's race after a big win here up today in Canada. And the next time we'll see you here on the FMGTC side of things will be in just a couple of days. Lucas in the pre-race show down back in the States for the first time in 2 months. Up in upstate New York, the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York to be more specific. The Firecracker at the Glen on the 4th of July at Watkins Glen International, airing at noon Eastern Time once again, exclusively on the North American Sim Racing Network. Thank you once again for tuning into today's coverage of the FlowMaster Grand Touring Championship. Here are your point standings after race 6 of the FMGTC. From here on out, we're on the back 9, or rather the back 6 of the FMGTC. And from Bowmanville, Ontario, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at noon, down stateside at Papyrus.